Draft week is here. It seems like all the craziness of last week has settled down, and now we're all kind of being sane again. But you never know until draft night actually happens. Let's have a podcast. Three, two. What up, everybody? It's JP Finley. It's Beltway Football. We're brought to you by Oarsman Automotive of Virginia. We ride with them. Want you to do the same thing. Check them out, oarsmanda.com. 7 locations all over Northern Virginia. I'm up in New York City in a radio booth in Madison Square Garden, where frankly I don't know that I'm allowed to be, and I can definitely see somebody rolling in here and kicking me out at some point. Big man, looks like a pleasant afternoon in Bethesda on the back porch there.
It is. It's a solid 75 degrees today. It's beautiful. Carver's running around in the backyard here, having a little bit of fun.
Nice.
Hoping for a Caps win tonight. That'll be great.
Yeah, you can look at it two ways. Like they lost 4-1, so they kind of got rocked, but they weren't that out of it most of the game. You give up 2 goals in 30 seconds. It's kind of hard to. We'll see what happens. They're also the 8 seed playing the 1. Like there's kind of a reason the Rangers won 55 games.
Whatever it is. Friday night in DC is going to be rocking. It's going to be fun to be at Cap One for that game. The first home playoff game every year is chef's kiss, just the most fun.
Will you be working or hanging?
I'll be wearing both my hats, both my fun hat and my work hat.
All right, there you go.
Little from column A, little from column B.
A lot of material to make 2 hats for that head. Anyway, speaking of hats, I don't think there's much intrigue anymore that Jayden Daniels putting the Commander's hat on Thursday night. I'm not saying it definitively, but it sure seems like it's approaching done deal city. What do you think?
It sure feels like it's pushing that way. Certainly all the talk nationally seems to be going that direction. Of course, we were just here a couple months ago with Ben Johnson, where everything seemed to be going that way. I'll go back to what I've been saying from the beginning. A lot of local and national pundits have been talking about what's going to happen. Nobody is sourcing or quoting from within the Commanders camp. And so, it's reading tea leaves. It's listening to what other GMs think the Commanders are going to do, what folks close to Adam Peters think he's going to do. So, yes, I do think it's going to be Jayden Daniels. But, I mean, this thing is nothing would surprise me at this point outside of a trade down.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And you're right about the reports. Like even the stuff that started to come out today that teams are calling Washington and they're not interested in trading out of 2, right? Like that is completely cohesive with what he told us last week at the presser. Like, yeah, I'm very interested in moving all over the draft board, except at number 2, we're going to chill. I think, you still have the people that are going to scream for May, and maybe there's people that are screaming for McCarthy. I think it's Daniels. Like for all the volatility in the betting markets that we were worried about, now, Daniels to go ahead of Drake May. Tim Murray had a tweet earlier, and it was like, it's now like minus 350 again. So there was that period of, between Top Golf and then the Emoji Gate, like there was a period of perhaps, I think like even saying uncertainty is too much to say, but there was that little like wrinkle, right? Like however you want to describe it, like that occurred. And then a week later, everything seems to have settled down. And I am confident that somebody in the Washington front office called Daniel's representation and was like, yo, what's going on? Are we good? Everything all right? And then they were like, yeah. And then Daniels did the Shannon Sharp, Chad Ochocinco show, right? And he didn't say much, but he said, I'm going to go wherever I get drafted. And he said, Washington's got good receivers. And that's kind of enough.
Yeah, you talked about the volatility in the betting market. I would talk about the volatility within the fan base because there was a period of time there where things got downright nasty on social between Jayden and Drake. And at the end of the day, that's part of what the Twitter experience is, or X experience, if you will, is. And there's not much you can do to control it one way or the other. But man, this group's got to find a way to come together with whichever guy they pick and support him, because if this is a split camp like what happened with kind of the RG3 Kirk Cousins thing, it's just not a great situation that's conducive to helping support whichever quarterback it is that they end up going with it too. So you hope that, while there's discourse leading into this pick, that the fans and everyone's able to get behind whoever it is that they end up bringing.
I mean, you certainly hope that, right?
Hope
Like
so.
if
Exactly.
if you're whatever camp you're in, if you're a fan of this football team and you think Drake should be the pick, or you think Jayden should be the pick, or you think freaking Bo Nix should be the pick, like being a fan of the team should be at the top of the list. So by Friday morning, fine. And you should be committed to that for like 2 years. Like I don't want the first interception somebody throws to then be like a meme fest of, the guy holding his girlfriend's hand, checking out the other girl. Like I don't want to start seeing that. Like Skins fans holding Jayden Daniels' hand, looking at Drake May or whatever. Like please, let's just all try to keep our composure here. I listened to Pardon My Take, and Todd McShay was on there. I didn't realize he's not at ESPN anymore. The hole in my resume. McShay went hard, and I quoted this. He said, "Of the dozens of calls I made from January to now, GMs, personnel directors, scouts, there wasn't one person I've spoken to that believes Drake May should be drafted number 2 ahead over Jayden Daniels." You can listen to that if you want, watch it on YouTube, whatever. And that got some traction, including Benjamin Solak, who I think is at the Ringer, right?
Yeah.
Staff writer for the Ringer, quoted me and said, obviously McShay talks to way more, and then important in parentheses. Obviously McShay talks to way more important people than I do, but I've had conversations with NFL scouts in the past months and as recently as the last week who have May ahead of Daniels and or McCarthy ahead of Daniels. I really think QB 2, 3, 4 is nowhere near a league consensus. I tend to agree with that. Getting a league consensus, especially if you're going to consider like everybody that plays some form of role in this. What do you figure an average NFL team has? About 15, 20 people on the coaching staff, and then 15, 20 on the front office side of things.
Yeah.
Hell, call it 50 people across 32 teams. Like, you're not going to have a consensus to that late. Like, Marvin Harrison is considered one of the best, cleanest wide receiver prospects ever. And there are people that tell you it should be Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze. Like, your consensus is pretty hard to build. But it does seem like Daniels at 2 is what's going to happen here. And there's also this narrative I kind of hate that, like, Drake May's the upside guy and Daniels is the safe guy. Like, he had 50 touchdowns last year. He's electric. Hey, if you want to say like Daniels can play for you sooner and Drake might need some time, that I think is fair. But that doesn't make Daniels like a safe pick. Like, this isn't, you're not betting I think that's silly.
I don't think there's such thing as a safe pick when you're taking a quarterback in the NFL draft. And I think we can look as far back, however many drafts ago you want to go, and look at the, Mitch Trubisky and, over or kind of any of these other crazy situations that have happened. Because at the end of the day, I hate that people say it's a guessing game, because it's not a guessing game, but it is an inexact science. And there is a lot more than just evaluating the player at the time to figure out whether he's the right pick or not. It's also the situation you put him in once he gets in your building, and a bunch of other things that go along in kind of those a bunch of things that go along kind of in that ilk. And I think there's a lot of time that you need to understand that it's not just about how far the guy threw or how fast he ran his 40. You're reading what he did on tape. You're reading between the lines of what he did on tape with his team versus what another guy did. And then ultimately, when you bring that guy into your building, it's putting him in the right situation, in the right offense that he can succeed in, with the right coaching staff that's willing to work with him and his particular set of skills. And so I hate the people that say it's a guessing game, because it's not a guessing game. To me, it's just an inexact science.
Did I get muted somehow?
I muted you for a second because there was a little bit of noise that was coming through the background. And then
dude, there's like a radio station playing above me.
Yeah, I didn't realize
think
I had
it's
to
like
ask you to unmute. I thought I could just mute you and unmute you at will.
no. I don't. I I don't know why the radio room of all rooms in Madison Square Garden would have audio playing in it. Like of all the rooms to not have audio playing in it, wouldn't it be the radio room where presumably
Yeah.
people are
Go find
recording
an
audio?
MSG. Go find an MSG union electrician and see if he can fix a problem for you. Because those
Oh,
guys
dude,
are really just grade A plus workers in my book. No
you'll
one
like this.
MSG
Um,
union.
we were in the scrum for the Caps the other night, and so people may or may not know this when you see it on TV or whatever, and there's a lot of microphones in front of a player's face. But like holding that mic can be really difficult depending on where you're positioned. And a lot of times you try to like help people out, right? And so there's a dude holding a monumental mic, and those monumental mic flags weigh like 30 pounds. And I was trying to be helpful, and I didn't recognize this guy, but there's been a lot of change, and there were a lot of monumental people that were there before I got involved. Like, it's not out of the realm. Like, it's entirely possible that I just wouldn't know a monumental road
Yeah.
truck crew guy. So I was standing right next to Tom Wilson, so I grabbed the mic to like hold it to like give this guy a break because he was like lunging over to try to hold it, and the guy like flipped out, like pulled it back from me. I was like, "All right, dude, I was just trying to help you out." And I saw Abs later, and I was like, "Yo, what the heck with this guy?" And he's like, "Oh, dude, I think those are local union crew. Like, like they don't want to deal with you whatsoever." Like, okay, understood.
Aye, Captain.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely still a subset of people that think it's going to be Drake May. Like, I'm looking at um, Evan Silva from Established to Run, a guy I respect. I follow on Twitter. I like his work. Um, his mock draft is taking Drake May at 2. And, like, I know those Established to Run guys are, like, putting this together to bet on it. You know what I mean? Like they're
Yeah.
not just throwing stuff against the wall. And if you like Drake May at 2, you get some pretty juicy odds on it. Here's what he wrote. I think he's saying May is on this. He's like on the Josh Allen, Ben Roethlisberger spectrum. May averaged 8.4 yards per pass attempt and scored 16 rushing TDs over his final 2 seasons as a Tar Heel. May's combination of size, athleticism, and aggressiveness gives him franchise quarterback upside for a rehabbing Washington football organization. I don't know. Be interesting. If it happens, I'm going to be cool with it,
Yeah, listen, I think especially the established run guys are very analytically driven and numbers driven. And, I think we've seen that from, what all the different things that they put out during the NFL season. But I think there's a portion of this that comes down to an eye test of sorts and a feeling and all that. So getting a lot of noise from JP in the radio room, but doing the best we can to fight on through this.
I told you it was a problem. You said you didn't hear it.
I didn't hear it for a long time, and now I do. But it's all right. We're just powering through it, and no one's too concerned about it.
I don't have my good computer. Like my Mac got beat up, so I'm using this Dell that I don't really know how to operate. Can I connect headphones to it?
You give me a hard time a lot about, and rightfully so, about my terrible computer, time, date, and all that. What did you do to your MacBook that it's not working?
I don't know. That's why I took it to the geniuses at the Genius Bar.
Oh, well, I'm sure those geniuses will get right on it for you.
Well, hold on. Serious question that I don't know the answer. Can you connect Apple products to a PC?
Not via maybe via Bluetooth.
I'm trying right now. I'm holding up. I mean, for the people that watch this on YouTube, I'm holding up my AirPods to the thing to discover them.
If it's not showing up as in the Bluetooth setting thing, it ain't showing up anytime soon.
It's not there. I'm trying to add a device.
Coming out. What else are we singing there?
Dude, I told you this was gonna be trouble.
We got some music flowing. No, I like it. It's adding a little flavor to this pod.
Remind me to text you something because I don't want to say it because I feel like some nerd will actually care. Dude, I'm also wearing sunglasses indoors because the sun is setting. I guess I'm facing west because the sun is just burying itself on me. I still
Well,
think it could be
guy, it's April 23rd at 4:50 p.m. and I believe I got that correct this time.
nailed it, big man. Proud of you, buddy.
How about them apples?
Um,
So how about the move back up and how about a move back up into the first round for an offensive tackle? Are you still thinking that's going to happen?
yeah, I'm guessing, I'm speculating, but Peters was pretty clear that he wants to be aggressive, and they've got the ammunition to do it. You got 6 top 100 picks. I like Mims. Our friend Jordan Reed connected them to Guyton, the kid from Oklahoma.
Yeah,
Both
JC
Mims
Guyton.
and Guyton are huge. I mean, they're both 6'7", 320-ish plus. Have the bodies to develop long term. Um, I think that makes a lot of sense. I want to see a corner. I think they need a wide out. I don't know if you saw this. The guy Keon Coleman you liked. You like Pelissero put on his list of like a guy that has a ton of excitement and could possibly become a first rounder.
I mean, I kind of hate hearing that about it, but I do like the fact I do like that kid a lot. I listen. Here's my one kind of I don't even know if it's a draft hot take even, but there's talk of 8 offensive tackles and maybe 10 offensive linemen going in the first round. If you then couple that with at least 4 quarterbacks, probably 5 quarterbacks, maybe 6 quarterbacks, plus 4 or 5 or 6 wide receivers, you're talking about 20 picks right there just on the offensive side of the ball. And that doesn't count, you know, tight ends or obviously defensive players at that point. I think that a couple of these offensive tackles are going to fall into the second round, and that might be the big kid from BYU, Kingsley Somatia. That might be a guy like Patrick Paul. It might be a guy like Jordan Morgan. Amarius Mims might drop down the board. He's a huge body, but he's only has 8 starts.
I'm, I'm
I think
looking.
that the numbers don't there are a lot of players who might be good enough or get first round grades that just don't go in the first round because there's only 32 picks there. And at some point, there's going to be a number of edge rushers. We know about some of those guys, Chop Robinson's falling further and further into the first round. I think that a couple of these tackles are going to fall into the second round. And depending on when that tackle run happens in the draft, the Commanders might not have to move up to get one of those guys who can step in and play pretty quickly. So I'm going to keep my eye on that because I think that they might not have to give up any extra draft capital to go get a good offensive tackle, one of the quote unquote top 8 elite guys who everyone's been kind of fawning over this draft cycle.
How deep? You're going 8 deep. So all Fashanu, what's the guy? Fuaga, Latham,
Latham,
obviously,
Mims,
Mims, Guyton,
the
6.
kid from Washington, Faltanu.
I think I said it right.
Did you?
No, you're right.
Olu Fashanu and Troy Faltanu.
And then
Amarius Tyler
Suamatea.
Guyton, Jordan Morgan, Kingsley Suamachia. I mean, these guys we're talking 8, 9, and that's just offensive tackles.
You name a couple of those dudes I think might be guards, but yeah.
Maybe, but Cooper Beebe certainly looks like he's a guy who might go in the first round as
I'm looking at, I guess this is Standig and Evan Silva did a podcast together. And they have Suamatea, the BYU guy, going 32 to the Chiefs. He did a top 30 visit there.
But so they have Jackson Powers Johnson, the kid from Oregon, and Graham Barton, the Duke guard center. Those 2 guys are probably both first rounders also.
Yeah.
We're starting to talk about 10, 11 guys here as first round, offensive linemen. And I just don't think that that's going to equal out to what we see on Thursday.
I just think there's not going to be any defensive players taking. I think there's going to be so few defensive players. I'm sure it'll set a record. I think there'll be like a run on corners, and I mean there just aren't those like dominating pass rushers in the contest. And
take it for what it is. Vegas odds have 21.5 offensive players taken in the first round. And if you're saying half of those guys are offensive linemen, to me, that sounds a little bit rich.
I don't. So if it's 21 and a half offensive players, so say it's 20, I feel like we can get there easily. I think 5 quarterbacks go, but say it's 4.
Okay.
I mean, the receivers, there's 7 of them, right?
Yeah, there's either 6 or 7, depending on what you think's going to happen. But so that's
That's 11.
4 or 5 quarterbacks. That's 11.
I think you could easily get 5 quarterbacks, 7 wideouts. You're at 12.
Right.
Then you've got a tight end and Bowers going. And then that's 13. You need 7 offensive linemen to go. I think that happens for sure.
Right. And that's what I'm getting at, is that's only 7 offensive linemen, not the 10 or 11 that we're talking about right now.
Oh, I hear what you're saying.
So
I
at 36, because you pick at 36, you might not have to move back into the first round to get one of those. I don't want to say elite, but the top tier group of offensive tackles. You might be able to sit back and choose your guy at 36, as opposed to having to give up any sort of extra draft comp to move up in the first round and get a guy.
I don't know. That'll be interesting. It's going to be remarkable, I think, if they don't take Daniels at this point. But dude,
here's the thing: we said it a lot, JP.
I just want the pick to be in.
Right. I just want it to be over, but we've said this a lot. Everyone was so excited about bringing in Adam Peters to this team, and was so excited about the group that he put together and all those different things. And now, people are trying to pick up, before he's even made a pick, they're trying to pick apart whether he did the right thing or wrong thing, or is doing the right thing or wrong. At the end of the day, trust Adam Peters to be that guy, which I think you need to do. Then whichever way he ends up going, you should at least give him the benefit of the doubt. It's his first draft year. Give him the benefit of the doubt, see where things go from there. And if you want to cast doubt in the future based on a poor, draft of this year, so be it. But at least for one, he deserves a little bit of leeway.
Yeah.
Totally. We got Mr. Brightside playing now?
Yeah.
How jacked are you?
I'm getting fired up. Let me tell you. I kind of think the music's only going to get louder at 5 o'clock as we get closer to puck drop here. Maybe we should call it here. What is our schedule? Let's just hammer this out publicly. What is our schedule? Draft night, Friday night.
Yeah.
Let's do a show.
So we're going to do a show Friday afternoon after so whichever player the Commanders pick is supposed to be in Ashburn on Friday for an availability.
Right.
Friday afternoon, which will also be a podcast Friday afternoon. I think we should do a quickie on Thursday night, and if there's a little bit of carryover for Friday.
We got to do it.
Yeah, so we'll do one Thursday night after they make the pick. We'll do one Friday after we get a chance to talk to that pick. And I guess we'll do that one Friday night after they've made their second and third round picks as well.
If they do make a trade Friday, it'd be great if they traded away pick 100. You know how late that's going to be? That's the last pick of the comp round.
Oh, I am well aware. This is, Thursday.
And then we get to talk to Peters after all that.
Right. And we're going to miss Caps game 3 Friday night as well, which would be a shame.
Yeah, I know.
But we'll be following it on the Monumental app or TV or whatever.
Put it on in the media room. I mean, assuming those TVs work, which is a big assumption.
It is. So you'll definitely get one Thursday night. There'll definitely be one Friday night. And
I'm going to go to National Harbor Saturday.
Yeah. So I was going to say Saturday, maybe late afternoon, there might be one as well, or maybe we reconvene on Sunday and do a kind of a full draft recap on Sunday. But you'll have plenty of pods to pick over the next couple days as the NFL draft happens.
Yeah, we already did the mock through 100. I would, if you have that, I would just throw that on here. Remind folks kind of our selections. I thought that had some value to it.
Yeah.
All right, let's do that, and then we'll be back Thursday night once we know who the new quarterback is. It's kind of exciting when you think about it that way.
Been a
You got
lot
a
of build up
cap
to get to this point.
a lot of build up. You got a Caps prediction for tonight?
Yeah, I've been on. I think the Caps push the Rangers deep into this series. I think they're gonna have a chance to win it. And I think it starts tonight with a 2-1 Caps win in New York at MSG, back to DC with a lot of momentum.
Wow. All right. Big man calling the win. Will your wallet be calling? Is this a big man like I hope they win? I think they can, or like I'm on it.
I think you know my strict rule. I don't bet on the teams that I root for. Generally, I want to root for them unabashedly and not be worried about other shenanigans happening around. So whether it's the Mets, the Terps, or the Caps or Commanders, whatever it may be, I don't really put my I don't really put my wallet in those games.
Not sure I buy it, but fine. All right, here's our mock draft that we recorded the other day. Um, we think it's Jayden. It might not be. I'm going to preemptively tell the world this. If they end up taking Drake May, I'm not wrong. I've never said they're definitely taking Jayden. And it's not like a win for like if you've been a Drake May advocate for some time, like you didn't win anything. Like you just need the kid to be good, whoever it is. So try to keep some perspective over the next few days here. Mock draft made this far. Mitch owes you a beer.